The 7-day Labor Day holiday should have been the loudest time in Hillcrest Dormitory. Instead, it was dead silent. You could almost smell the quiet, a mix of dust, old peeling paint, and that damp, musty scent of empty hallways. My name is Alex Warner, a third-year dance student, and for tonight, I am the only living soul left in this historic 4-story building, all because of an audition. An audition I had won. My victory was tucked away in a small suitcase, which I was now dragging across the tiled lobby. The wheels made a jarring, bone-cracking sound that echoed like it was coming from a tomb. I got back just before 10, right as the dorm manager, Miss Harper, was locking the heavy iron gate. Her eyes landed on me, not with surprise, but with a deep, weary fatigue. She didn't even bother asking why I hadn't gone home for the holiday. "Lock your room. 204, she muttered, her voice as dry as sandpaper. The keys in her hand clattered softly, then faded into the darkness as the gate slammed shut with a solid, final cap. And just like that, I was officially trapped inside with my victory. The second-floor hallway was pitch black. The dorm's motion sensor lights were notoriously faulty. They only turned on when they felt like it. I stomped my foot down hard. Bam! The fluorescent lights flickered to life, casting my shadow long and distorted along the wall. It chased me step by step before fading away behind me, as if some invisible entity was swallowing the light whole. My room, 204, was at the very end of the hall. My roommate, Lily Chun, had gone home a week ago. I could still hear her sobbing from the night before she left, her words echoing in my mind. "Alex, you won. But don't you dare think you can enjoy it in peace." I shook my head, trying to push the memory away. I was completely exhausted. The feeling of sweat, stage makeup, and the lingering tension of the performance still clung to my skin like a second layer. I desperately needed a shower. I tossed my bag onto the bed. Inside, my small crystal trophy gave a single, faint sparkle before lying still in the darkness. Grabbing a towel, I stepped back out into the hall. The public bathroom was damp, the air thick with the smell of cheap bleach mingling with steam. I picked the farthest shower stall and turned on the hot water. Steam rose quickly, blurring everything into a hazy fog. I closed my eyes, shampooing my hair, and that's when I heard it. Click, a tiny but distinct sound. The latch on the neighboring stall had just clicked open. My heart skipped a beat. I immediately turned off the water. The steam lingered, but the silence that followed was ice cold. "Who's there?" My voice cracked, barely a whisper. No answer, just the sound of water dripping from my showerhead. Drip, drop, like a countdown to disaster. I quickly wrapped a towel around myself and crept out of the stall. The sinks were empty. All the other stall doors were slightly ajar, exactly as they were when I first came in. It was probably just a rat, I tried to tell myself, even though I knew no rat could possibly reach a metal latch that high up. As I started heading back to my room, my eyes fell to the floor, and I froze. Tere. Tere. On the wet tile in front of the last stall, the one I thought the sound had come from, was a perfectly dry patch of floor, clearly imprinted with the shape of 2 bare footprints. It was as if someone had been standing there, motionless, watching me the entire time, and had only just left. I bolted to room 204, slammed the door shut, locked it, and threw the deadbolt. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst out of my chest. I grabbed my phone and quickly texted my friend, Mia. Hey, I'm really scared. I'm all alone here, and I just heard something in the bathroom. I think someone's in there with me. 5 agonizing minutes later, she replied, calm down. It's probably just the old pipes. Or a rat. Old buildings are like that. Just go to sleep. You'll be fine in the morning. And try not to dwell on Lily. Her message hit me like a hammer. I glanced over at Lily's empty desk. My trophy sat there, cold and still. A wave of guilt churned in my stomach. What had I done? I only competed, right? I didn't mean to hurt her. I clenched my fists, shutting down the thought. I deserved this. I turned off the main light, leaving only the small, warm glow of my desk lamp on. I climbed into bed, trying to lose myself in some videos to fall asleep. Outside, the silence hung heavy and suffocating, like a burial shroud. I was just starting to doze off when another soft click echoed through the room. I jolted upright. White light from the hallway was streaming through the vent above my door. The motion sensor lights had flickered on again, but there were no footsteps. Then, lop-cop, lop-cop, cop. The sound was coming from directly above me, the 3rd floor. It sounded like high heels, but the rhythm was all wrong. Lop-cop, lop-cop. One step was heavy, and the next was light and dragging, like someone was limping. Or maybe a heel was broken. Cold sweat ran down my neck. No way. This building was supposed to be empty. Lop-cop. 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 The sound paced back and forth, gnawing at every last one of my frayed nerves. Trembling, I reached out and switched on the main neon wall light. Bright, sterile white light flooded the room. The footsteps stopped immediately. Silence fell once more, but it felt even heavier now. I sat frozen, my eyes fixed on the ceiling, my heart hammering against my ribs. I didn't dare turn off the light again. I hugged my knees, clutching my phone tightly. I played games, scrolled through social media, did anything I could to stay awake. But exhaustion eventually won. Around 2 in the morning, I nodded off, sitting upright. My phone slipped from my hand and fell to my feet. The room lights still blazing. I have no idea how long I was asleep. I woke to a bone-chilling cold. The room was pitch dark. The lights were off. I fumbled around for my phone. It was dead. The battery, which had been over 40%, was completely drained. And then I saw something that made my soul feel like it was leaving my body. The door, one ay hadlach, andlach, ay ha. Lashdwa, now open. A black gap, about the width of a hand, revealed the dark hallway beyond. Thud, thud, thud. A terrifying explosion of sound erupted right outside. Running. Desperate. Frantic running. The floorboards shook with each heavy step. The hallway sensor lights flickered on off, stuttering like a dying breath. The person wasn't just running past. They were pacing right outside my door, getting faster and heavier with each pass. I buried my face in my pillow, covering my ears, but the sound pierced right through, vibrating in my bones. Then, just as suddenly, everything stopped. The hallway lights stayed on. The silence stretched for 3 painful seconds. A long, black shadow fell through the gap in the door, casting itself across my floor. Someone was standing right outside. I held my breath, completely frozen. And then I heard it click. A very small sound coming from inside my room, from the corner where Lily's desk was. I didn't dare to look, but some invisible force compelled me. Slowly, I lifted my head, my eyes straining in the dim light filtering in from the hallway. On her desk, where only my trophy had sat before, now lay a bright red high-heeled dance shoe. The very shoe she had cherished and practiced in for a month leading up to the audition. The ones I had accidentally knocked to the floor a few days before the exam. During our argument, I'd seen the small crack on the heel back then, but it stayed silent. And now, the broken piece of that, he lay right beside it, like an unspoken accusation. A shiver ran down my spine. Instinct screamed at me to turn back towards my bed. Someone was sitting at the foot of it, a figure with their back turned to me, long black hair covering their face. They were bent over, as if tending to their feet. I watched as they slowly lifted one foot, then the other, slipping them into the red shoes. They stood up motionless as a statue for a moment. Then they took a step toward me. Lop. The intact heel hit the floor with a solid sound. The second step, cap. The broken heel struck the floor harshly. Lap. Cap. They were in my room, and they were approaching me. Alex, a dry, weary whisper came from the shadow. I knew that voice. Your dance is beautiful. But do you know what it feels like to dance on a broken heel? The figure lifted its foot. Lop. Click. The hallway light went out, plunging the room into total darkness. I couldn't see a thing. I could only hear cop and feel a cold breath brush against the back of my neck. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Stay safe out there.